so insurance people, and there's always more than one New York Life. So how do we, as individuals, differentiate ourselves and what we do? What makes us different from everybody else? Why should people call us? And I think that's what Judy's going to talk about today. Just a little bit on Judy's background. If you didn't read, she's been here before. She's spoken to audiences from 10 to 10,000 people, so she's not afraid of standing up in front of a crowd. She was a TEDx speaker in 2016, and she's an author. She's four books, Selling in a Skirt, Famous Isn't Enough, Pure Wealth, and her latest book, to be released shortly, Walking on the Glass Floor. So would you please welcome Judy Hoberman.
So thank you. I'm excited to be here, and my favorite topic is actually standing out in the crowd, because as we all know, whether it's insurance or real estate or marketing or anything else, there's a lot of us out there, right? So if you don't know me, this is who I am. I consider myself your support system. I have experience of over 30 years in sales and in business, and I probably have an answer for something. I'm known as the question queen. I ask more questions than you could possibly have, so I probably have the answers as well. Okay, so let's start with this. Who are you looking for? In order for you to stand out, you have to know who you're looking for. Now, if you said to me, my product is good for everyone, that's not true, because not everyone needs everything, whether it's water or air or anything. Not everyone needs everything. So who is it that you're looking for? And you have to try to identify what that person looks like. When I work with my clients, I give them a whole questionnaire of things to answer about the people that they want to work with. And by the time you're done, that person's going to pop off the page for you. Mine is called Jennifer. I don't know why, but she just reminded me of a Jennifer. So my person is called Jennifer. So here's what you want to know. Who is your target market? Who is the person that you're looking for? Now, when I say who's your target market is really who do you want to work with? Just because something is a buzzword doesn't mean that that has to be your buzz person. There was a company that hired me. They wanted me to help them recruit women. And when I asked them why, they said because it's the buzzword. And I said, well, what happens when you hire them? What will you do with them? He said, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't work, we'll get more. So I thought, well, that's not a good reason to want to be in that market just because it's the buzzword. You also want to know, you have to make a commitment. If I said to you that my market are going to be executive women, I have to make that commitment to be with executive women. If I said to you that my market's going to be moms with triplets, then I have to make the commitment to do business with moms with triplets. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. You also want to know it's a numbers game. Does anybody realize that sales is nothing more than a numbers game? Business is nothing more than a numbers game? How many of you are salespeople? Every single person is a salesperson, because every single person has to sell one thing, themselves. You know who else is a salesperson? A baby. Do you know why? Because the baby will cry. If you feed me and you change me, I will stop crying. So they're a salesperson. They've also learned how to negotiate, right? And then also, if you figure out who your perfect person is, who your target audience is, it's going to expand your client base, because you become the person that people go to for that particular market. So what you want to do in order to find your person is you have to create activity, because that's generally the hardest thing to do. Now, you had said something about marketing. It's the last thing that people do. It's so true. As an entrepreneur, we'll do marketing when we have time. We'll think about it when we have time. And guess what happens? There's no time. So the one thing you have to do is you have to create marketing to get yourself in front of that target person. So the first thing I always tell you is get it on your calendar. If I said to you, so what kind of marketing are you going to do? How many of you do, other than this, networking events? How many of you go to networking events? Okay, how many of you pick up the phone? Oh, that's a lot, because lots of people don't like the phone. How many of you use social media? Okay, if you put on your calendar different times during the week that you're going to do marketing, you're going to hit different people during the week. I had one person that called me when I started in insurance back in the 90s. I had one person that called me, telemarketing call, every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. Every Wednesday. I didn't have caller ID back then. Nobody did. But I knew at 6 o'clock when that phone rang, it was him. And so one time I picked up the phone and said, what's for dinner? And he said, excuse me? I said, you call me every Wednesday night at 6, and every Wednesday I tell you I'm having dinner. How about trying a different time? And he said, oh, hi, my name is, like, have a script. So you have to vary your time. So get it on your calendar, but do different times in order to meet your target person. Also, it's all about the calls, whether it's an in-person call, whether it's a social media call, whether it's a robot, whatever kind of calls you make, you have to have a number of calls that you're going to do. What's your goal? Don't say you're going to make 100 calls in one sitting, because you're not going to. Anybody ever try to make 100 calls in one sitting? It doesn't, right. Is it fun? No, it's not fun at all. Give yourself a realistic number. I'm going to make 10 calls. I'm going to make 20 calls. I'm going to call until I speak to 2 people. Whatever it is, give yourself a number so you know exactly what it is you're trying to do. And then you have to keep it simple. You could use the last S for sweetheart or whatever S word you want to use, but you have to keep it simple. Don't do things that are going to eliminate you from actually completing them, because that's the hard part. If you say, I'm going to make 27 calls and I'm going to do 27 deals and and you have this thing, you're going to look at it and go, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. It's too hard. Keep it simple. Okay. Also, you have to be organized. When I was a managing partner, I remember distinctly people sitting down to make calls, because we made them make calls. You had to do something in order to get business. And they would sit down and they said, okay, so let me fix my paper, let me move my pencil, and let me sort this out. No, when you sit down, you should have a list with the person's name, with their email, and a spot for notes. So when you sit down the next time and you go back and say, well, Dave wasn't in his office at 11 o'clock on Wednesday, I'm going to try him on Friday. And I make myself a note. Or I'm supposed to meet Karen, and I said, she can't meet me because her daughter's getting married. So guess what happens the next time I call her? The first thing I'm going to say is, how was the wedding? Make yourself notes. People say, oh my goodness, you actually remembered. Okay? No interruptions. How many of you work from home? Okay, anybody ever get a call where you hear, mommy, 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 mommy on the other end, or daddy, daddy, daddy? Anybody ever get that? Right?
Or a dog barking.
Or a dog barking,
Daddy.
right? Right? Is that supposed to be something that's professional? So, find yourself a quiet spot. If you can't find it at home, find it somewhere else. But we had a guy that was a single dad, and he put a baseball hat on. When the baseball hat was on, he was an insurance agent.
Oh, that's cool.
When the baseball hat was off, he was daddy. And so every time the hat went on, he had little girls. Every time the hat went on, they went, shh, Daddy's working. Don't be interrupted. You're not going to give yourself 5 hours. You're going to give yourself an hour or 2 hours at the most anyway in one sitting. Okay, variety, like I said, don't call the same people at the same time. Make some kind of choices where you're going to be able to call them at different points. And then work backwards. So if I said to you, well, let's do New York Life for a moment. How many people do you want to see every single week? Give me a number. You want to actually see me in person. How many people? 5 people. Okay, let's say 5 people. Okay, how many calls do you have to make to do 5?
How often?
30 calls. Okay, so if I had to make 30 calls every week and I was going to do marketing 5 times a week, that means in one sitting I only have to do 6 calls. See how it works? The smaller numbers are always easier to reach than the big ones. I'm looking at 30 calls. Oh my God, I can't do 30 calls. But I can do 6. Think of it as a realtor. You want to sell 120 houses per year. That means you have to sell 10 houses per month. Would you say it's easier to sell 10 houses or 120? 10. Go backwards. Okay? What about your database? How many of you have a database? Okay, how many of you have a database that are your people? How many of you just have a database with lots of names on it that mean nothing? Okay, so when I first started my business, I decided to go to every networking event that there was. There wasn't one that I went to that were my people. Jennifer was nowhere. Okay, I was with everybody else, but not my people. So I had to figure out, like, what's in my database? These are just people. So I would send them, interesting information, but they weren't my people. So I had to start all over with a new database. But go back to yours. There's money. There's gold in your database. Anybody ever have somebody that's like hot to trot? I need your stuff, I need your stuff, I need your stuff. And when you go to close, it's like, I don't think I need it right now. Anybody ever have that? No? Yeah. Well, we've all had that, right? So what happens? Maybe at that moment, they didn't have money, and they didn't want to tell you that. Maybe at that moment, it wasn't the right timing. Go back in. Tell them what else, what's new, what you have, what's going on. You never know who you could just pick up. Your database is full of interesting information. You also want to think about, like, where are you connected? How are you connected? What's something you can talk about? They talk about building a rapport. Rapport is nothing more than finding some kind of common ground that we have. We might have a mutual friend. We might do something in the community that we think is amazing. We might like the same music. You don't know until you start asking questions. You have to create awareness also. You have to create strategies that are going to get you to the right places. So again, I go back to, who is your person? Where do they hang out? Where are they? What's the real part of it that you can go there and you can talk to one-to-many, one-on-one, however it fits you. Because what you want to do is you want to be unique. How many of you think you're unique? Okay, what makes you unique? What makes you unique? Why do people want to do business with you?
Skills and experience.
Skills and experience. What else? Why do people want to do business with you?
Because I'm me.
Because you're you. What makes you different? That's what I want you to start thinking about. So I'm going to give you one handout that's going to ask you, you don't have to do it now, but I want you to really think about what makes you unique. When somebody thinks about you, what do they think about? Now I'm going to tell you that I am funny. I am funny, but I'm also my own best audience. So if I tell you a joke and you don't laugh, it doesn't matter, because I laugh. So I know I'm funny. People always say to me, you missed your call and you should have been a stand-up comic. Now, when you talk about, like when I come from insurance, it's hard to be funny about insurance, but as we're building a rapport, I might say something funny, right? So I think I'm funny. I am known for making things really easy. Okay, sales, how many of you think sales are hard? Most people think sales are hard because you have to get in front of people, you have to close this, you have to do... Sales are easy. It's nothing more than conversation. People always say to me, you make it so easy. So I want you to think about the things that people would say about you. What makes you unique? Because what makes you unique is why people want to do business with you. Anybody dress a certain way that you're known for? I would imagine you're known for hats.
You're known for the chapeau pas.
Okay, so think about that. People know me for two things, boots and leather jackets.
And the leather skirt.
Well, yeah, leather skirt as well. But I will always show up with either boots or a leather jacket. Sometimes both, but one or the other. People always go to me, oh, it's a blue one today. Oh, it's a black one today, because my husband buys in all colors of leather jackets because that's what I like to wear. So think about that. There are people that dress in a certain color. There are people that dress with a certain style. Maybe that's what people think about you. So think about what makes you unique. But the other thing is, you have to also be consistent. Now, social media is an amazing platform if you do it right. If you post once every month, there's no consistency. I post every single day, and the first time I post is in the morning, and it's before 7 a.m. So if you're connected with me, you'll see every morning, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or whatever, every single morning. Now, here's the deal. I am very consistent, and I'm so consistent that when I don't post by 7, I have friends that'll call me and ask me if I'm okay. That's consistency. You have to remember, just like I told you, the telemarketer that called every night, 6 o'clock, Wednesday nights, or whatever, if you only do it once a week, once a month, your perfect person may not be there at that time. How many of you post on social media? Okay, how many of you do it every day? Start doing it every single day and vary your times. I do it in the morning, I do it in the afternoon if I'm around, and I do it at night. And I do different platforms. And, by the way the algorithms are set up, your friends and your colleagues and your people don't always see what you put out there. So repeat it. Okay, so where can you find a perfect person? So I'm going to give you some ideas. First thing is your existing customers. If you looked at your existing customers and you tried to find out what the common thread is, I guarantee you there's something that binds them all. It could be entrepreneurs, it could be an age, it could be where they live, it could be so many different things. It could be an industry. You have to start thinking about it. There was a woman she had just retired, she was a teacher for 45 years, and she was starting a direct sales company. And she said to me, I don't even know where to start. And I said, well, who's your person? She goes, everybody. It's vitamins. Everybody needs vitamins. And I said, okay, well, let's back up because not everybody needs vitamins. So who's your perfect person? She said, healthy people. And I said, okay, well, how do you know if they're healthy? She said, well, you can look at them and see that they're healthy. I said, well, you can't do that either. So who's your perfect person? Well, she couldn't figure it out. And I said, well, tell me about where you came from. That's generally what you can think about. Where did you come from? She said, I was a teacher 45 years. And I said, and you retired? Yes. I said, are there any other teachers that are retired? She goes, there's a whole bunch of us that all retired. I said, are any of them looking for residual income? She said, well, we're all, there's my perfect person. So just start to think about where you came from also. What language do you speak? If you come from an IT world, you speak IT. If you come from, if you're a teacher, you speak teacher. If you're insurance, you speak insurance. So think about that. I come from an insurance world, so when I go back to talk to insurance, it's like going home because that's who I am. So think about that. Also, people you know. If you start telling people who your people are, they'll start telling you who to find. If I said to you, how can I support you? And you said, my clients are everyone, my curtain goes down. I can't see everyone. But if you said to me, my clients are entrepreneurs and they're in the age bracket of 40 to 60, and I work generally with men, and blah, 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 all of a sudden my curtain's coming up and I can start to see those people. So start to think about that. When you're looking for a new position, you have to also think about, like, who do you want to work with? I know who I don't. That's easy to eliminate. So at least it eliminates something. Okay, referrals. How many of you ask for referrals? If you don't ask for referrals, start asking. And if you do ask for it, don't stop. Because referrals it's a golden opportunity. Nobody else gets that. And you have to treat them like gold. Okay, seminars. Do any of you do any kind of speaking? Okay, if you do speaking, this is one-to-many. I was telling Randy before, we used to do a lot of educational seminars for Medicare. Okay, this was one-to-many. Now, of course, you can't sell because it's educational, but at least people were getting your opportunity and your name was getting out there. So think about that as well. Face-to-face. Obviously that's the best way because you get to see somebody eye to eye. And again, it's not for everybody. But if you met people eye to eye, all of a sudden, guess what you're building? A relationship. That's what sales are based on. Okay, advertising. Now, I have to say advertising is not what it used to be, and some people are not doing it at all, but some people are doing ads on Facebook or ads on LinkedIn or whatever. So advertising has changed it a bit, and it's also a little bit expensive. And then you also do email campaigns. Anybody do an email campaign? Okay, so those of you who have said yes, awesome. Guess what time of year you're in? You're at the end of the year. Guess what happens at the end of the year? We used to call it a policy review. You can talk about a year in review. So just wanted to call and say, how is everything? Anything changed? What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. Here's what's happening with me. You could do an email campaign and just tell people what you're doing. It's like going back into that database. Just let people know what's going on, how they can find you. Maybe you moved. Maybe they moved. Okay? Then, of course, phone calls, which you all said you like to do that, so I'm going to just leave it at that. Okay, so here's your perfect person. What do they look like? How do they behave? Who are they? And how do you relate to the problem? Just because you have something that is fantastic doesn't mean it solves somebody's problem. Don't create a problem where there is no problem. If you have no competition, it could be awesome, but it could also mean that there's no problem there. So you have to be careful what you're trying to deliver to someone. Okay? Now, if you watch TV, you're going to see like all of the ads are now, right now it's for a holiday, and in another week or two it's going to be for the gyms because resolutions are coming up, and then it'll change again. So you just have to decide like who are you? Who are you trying to affect? So here's the questions. Who's in your network right now that you can reach out to and you can ask for help, and you can show them what you're doing, or say to them, here's what I need, what can I, how do you help me? You can also find out what networks you need to build. Let me just say one thing. You have to build networks before you need them. Okay? If you need something and you have no network, you can't go anywhere. There's no place to go. Okay? You first have to build the network, build the relationship. So build them before you need them. Okay? Also, who else should you include? If I'm saying to you that my network are executive women, who else can I partner up with that might also be doing business with executive women, not doing what I do? So who can I partner up with? Who can support you? Who do you need to see? Who do you need to meet? What new actions do you have to take? So you have to start asking yourself questions. How do I do this? Because the ultimate goal is, who's in your sandbox? Who do you want to play with? Now, when you were little, did anybody ever play in a sandbox? Okay, if you didn't like someone in your sandbox, what'd you do?
Threw sand at it.
You threw sand at it. What else did you do? You kicked him out of the sandbox or you left, right? That's what I'm talking about in business. If you pick a market that you're in and you don't like it, get out of it. If you can't find anybody that wants to do business, expand your marketplace. But you have to find out who's in your sandbox. So, let's talk about how you're going to find them, okay? Now, obviously you're here, so obviously you like to network, but how many people really like to network? Yeah, not many. Yeah. Okay, but here's the deal. You have to network with intention. Because in order for you to be successful, you have to be intentional. Now, I am a sales trainer by my career has really been sales training, okay? So when I jumped ship, and I jumped ship, like I jumped, and I left nothing behind, and I never looked back. But when I jumped, the only people I knew were the people I just resigned from. How do you network if you know no one? Except the people you resigned from. That's not easy, is it? No. So you have to do things with intention. And remember what I said, I went to every networking event and I met none of my Jennifers were anywhere. So I had to go back and I had to decide, who am I going to talk to? Where am I going to see people that I need? But here's the big thing. There's a title that you have to give yourself. You ready? You have to become the expert. You have to be the expert in your field. And you have to own that title. So I'll tell you a funny story. I was doing training, and these were all insurance agents, and they all said, oh, we're all competition. And I said, really? Okay, so who do you work with? Well, I work with, young families, and I work with seniors, and I work with, so they weren't really competition. They were all different markets. And I said, I have a client who, she's an expert she's mortgages. She's an expert in difficult mortgages. So one of the agents who was sitting over there said to me, did you make that up or is that real? I said, no, that's real. She said, well, I need her name. And I said, okay, I'll give it to you after the training. So I gave her the name. When I got back to my office, I called my client and I said, expect a call from so-and-so. She's looking for somebody that does difficult loans. She goes, I already have a call with her, already have a meeting set up. That's how fast it works. We're talking like not even an hour. That's how fast it works. If you are an expert in something, you have to say, I am the expert in, and you have to own it. So I've been on Fox Business News a lot, and they nicknamed me the gender expert. What the heck is a gender expert? Anybody know? I know more about women in certain instances than other people. They gave me that title. Do you think I own it? I own it. It's everywhere. It's on all my marketing stuff. Gender expert. Okay, so when you go home and you think about what you do, are you a marketing expert? What's your expertise in marketing? Pick yourself a niche within the marketing. If you're doing Medicare, what part of it is like, I am, Part D expert? Whatever it is, own it. Own it. Because I'm telling you, when I know what you're the expert in, I can bring people your way. If I don't know what you're the expert in, I can't help you. And that's what you want. You build relationships. So I'm going to give you some networking tips because, as I said, I did it wrong. Even though I teach it the right way, I did it the wrong way. So do as I say, not as I do, because I corrected myself after a little while. So, number one, you have to explore new groups. You have to take the groups that you love and you continue to go with them, but you have to go and explore other groups because your person is not in just one group. Your person is in different groups. That's number one. Number two, arrive early. Here's what I didn't like about networking. I did not like walking into a room where I knew not a soul, and everybody would look at me and go, oh, she has no friends, she's all by herself. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, it's silly, but that's what I thought. So if I got there early, you know what happened? People walked up to me and said, hi, my name is, and I didn't have to go up to anybody. God, it was the best feeling. Okay, so I never forgot that. The next one is, you have to have a goal in mind. How many of you have a goal when you go networking? Does anybody have a goal? What's your goal? What's your goal?
Meet one new person.
One new person.
Find somebody I can help.
Find someone you can help.
Get new information.
Get new information. Okay, so my goal always has been, meet 3 people that I can build a relationship with. Just 3. Anybody can meet 3. You can meet 1, but anybody can meet 3. Anybody. So I would meet 3 people. And when I would meet you, I would say, you know what, Dave? I wanted to meet 3 people today, and you're one of them. And so the first thing he'd be thinking is, I wonder why she wanted to meet me. And there starts the conversation. Okay? I'm telling you. Okay, the next one is bring business cards. Oh my goodness, how many people don't bring business cards? Bring business cards. Now here's the secret to the business cards. When somebody hands you a business card and it's a person that you just adore and you have to get in touch with them, bend down the corner. So when you put it in your pocket and you pull it out, the corner's bent and you know this is a special person. So I talked to the students at TCU, and they all were graduating. They all had new business cards, and I told them that. And as they said goodbye to me, every single one handed me a card that had their corner folded down. Because they were all special. Okay, dress professionally. Do not come in, evening gowns or clothes for the beach. You have to be professional, because that's what people remember. You get one shot at first impression. That's it, just one. And people will remember, oh my God. Okay, don't huddle with people that you know, because that's considered hanging out. You have to know the three. Here's the three people you must know at a networking event. The first person is you have to know the organizer. The second person you have to know the person that's at the registration desk. And the third person is the speaker. Do you know why? Because between the three of us, we know everybody in the room. So if I said, so Dave, there was a guy that was sitting on the left-hand side when I was speaking, and he had a hat on, and I never got his card, and I never got his name. Do you know who he is? So he would know that was Stanton. Okay? So the three people, the organizer, the registration desk, and the speaker. Just the three. Don't hard sell your company. Anybody ever walk in and somebody says, hey, you want to buy a house? Hey, you want to list your house? Hey, you need insurance? That's not why you go for networking. You go to build relationships. Don't hard sell your company. Your expertise will come out. Your brilliance will come out. Don't hard sell. Anybody part of LinkedIn? Okay, all of you. That's awesome. So you meet somebody on LinkedIn, you connect with them. Next thing you get in your message box is 7 paragraphs of thank you for connecting with me, and now I want to bring you into this program, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, really? I just met you. Or you get something which this actually threw me over the edge. He said, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I work with authors and entrepreneurs just like you, and I would like to build you a website that you're proud of.
Which presumes you're not proud of the one you have.
So I wrote back, I love my website, thank you. And then I deleted him. Okay, ask a lot of questions, because that's what helps you build relationships. It's about them, it's not about you. Be interested, not interesting. See the difference? I'm interested in you. You don't care that I'm interesting. Not yet. We don't have a relationship yet. And then remember the individuals you've met. Anybody ever meet somebody, you go somewhere else, and they go, oh, Judy, it was so great meeting you. I loved having that one-on-one with you. And you're thinking like, start remembering people. And follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. If you promise you're going to give something, you better give it. This is a pretest to you. When you meet somebody at a networking event and you say to them, I'm going to send you a white paper, and I'm going to send it to you by tonight. When is tonight over? Midnight. Okay? So by midnight, if you haven't sold it, if you haven't sent anything, guess what they're thinking? If he couldn't even send me a white paper, why would I want to do business? If you're not going to send it, don't say you're going to. If you're not going to send it today, you can say, you know what, I'm getting on a plane, I'll be gone the rest of the week, I'll send you something on Monday. Okay, you cover yourself. Overpromise, underdeliver is not what you want to do. You want to underpromise and overdeliver. Okay, how many of you have walking ambassadors? How many of you know what a walking ambassador is? So a walking ambassador, for those that don't know, is somebody that is talking about you everywhere in a good way. Not that's talking about you and going, ugh, have you met so-and-so? You want somebody that's going to say, if you need somebody to do your marketing, if you need somebody to do insurance, if you need somebody, you have to call so-and-so. This is a walking ambassador. How do you get a walking ambassador? You have to be one. You can't expect anybody to talk about you if you're not willing to talk about them. And you don't just assume that they're going to do it for you. So if I said to you, Stanton, are you okay if I refer you out to people? What's he going to say? He's going to say, of course, I would love that. And when he starts to see what I'm doing, and he starts to get people that are calling him and saying, Judy Hoberman recommended you, all of a sudden he's going to say to me, that is awesome. How can I support you? There it goes. It comes back. It doesn't always come back. But don't go in expecting it to come back. So that's walking ambassadors. Centers of influence can be anyone. Could be any industry. You know, some people think it has to be a chamber that's a center of influence, or it has to be, a church or a temple that. No, it could be anyone. I had a mason contractor that introduced me to so many people. I never, ever had to cold call again. Ever. That's how many people it grew into. That's how my business just exploded from one person. So make sure you look at everybody. Anybody is a center of influence. You just don't know it yet. You have to cultivate that relationship. And then the third one is the strategic partner. So how many of you have strategic partners? Okay, so a strategic partner is somebody that's in your space, that is already taking money from your people, from my Jennifer, but they compliment you, they don't compete with you. So if I was a life and health insurance agent, who would be my strategic partner? It could be property casualty. It could be financial person. It could be any of that. If I was a realtor, who would my strategic partners be? A title person, a mortgage person, could be somebody that owns storage units. So think outside the box. Who could be your strategic partner? So when you think about that, who is your walking ambassador and who's your strategic partner, where are they hanging out? Because it might be in the same place that you're already going, but it also might be in a place that you haven't been. Right? The truth is that businesses don't do business, people do business. So even when you're talking to somebody that has a huge company, it's not the company that you're looking for. You're looking for the person. So don't get nervous when you see somebody that has 200 employees. It's not that. You have to make that relationship with that one person. Okay? That's what I said before. Build your relationships before you need them, because once you need them, it gets to be a little bit too late. And who's on your wish list? Anybody have people that are you think they're so far away from you, that's so far above you, so far, more well-known than you are that you're just afraid to call them? Don't. They're people. They're just people. The worst they're going to say is what? No. That's it. You're not going to die from it. Okay? You might die trying to make that phone call. But give yourself that goal. I'm going to call so-and-so by today. I'm going to call so-and-so by tonight. Make that call. Connect with them somehow. Start building a relationship. Because you're creating a business. You're either making a business or it's a hobby. Now, if you're building a hobby, then you don't have to be as diligent and as strict as if you're building a business. But I'm pretty sure that all of you are building businesses. So you want your business to grow, right? That's all it is. Decide that it's a business. It's not a hobby. And you can also increase your commission two different ways. So if you're working on commission, the first is to wow your customers, and the second is the power of referrals. So to wow them, what did I say? Under promise and over deliver is the first thing. Whatever you say you're going to do, you do. The second is when they have a problem, be available. The worst thing you want to hear is, oh my God, I gave her money and I never heard from her again. They have their policy, but that's it. You don't want to do that. And then also, make sure they have a way that they can reach you that is convenient for both of you. If you're more of a text person, do texting. I hate getting texts from people I don't know. I'm just going to tell you that. So don't text me if I don't know you. Call me first and say I'm texting you. Then I'm okay. Okay? The results are in about this because 92% of consumers will trust a recommendation from a friend or a colleague. So if I gave you a referral and I was your friend or colleague, you're going to say, wow, I would rather take this than do email campaigns and anything else. Okay? You also want to make sure that you're committing to your business. You want to make sure that you've found your passion, you're embracing everything that goes along with your business, and that you're really making sure that as you proceed, you are the expert. Own the title. Look in the mirror and go, I am the expert. I am the gender expert. I am the expert. I am the expert. Start believing it. You don't believe it, no one else will. Okay? And then, what did I say? Follow up. I'm going to show you statistics. They're not pretty. 48% of salespeople never follow up. Ever. Never. Not even once. They never follow up. 25% will make contact and stop, and it goes worse. It gets worse because 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. Today, you have to do 10 or 12 contacts. How many contacts would you tell somebody in marketing? How many touch points?
At least 6 or 7, if not more than 10.
Okay, so if this is the truth, only 10% make more than 3 contacts, what happens? Because if you go the other way, 2% of sales are only 2% are made on the first contact, and 80% are made all the way up to the 12th contact. So if you don't follow up, if you're not persistent, lights out. So this is my tagline, just so you know. Women want to be treated equally, not identically. Just so you have that. I will answer any questions, and this is how you can find me. So you have two sheets, and I really, I'm going to tell you to make sure you fill them out, and if you have questions, just ask me. Because these are some of the things that I give my clients as far as finding your target, being the expert, knowing who your strategic partners are, and who your walking ambassadors are. So, yes?
Going back to the follow-up, and some of us get into our heads like, I don't want to be pushy. The reason they're not calling me back is because they're trying to say no in a nice way. and maybe I should just listen to that. And so all that story. So I believe that unless I get an actual no thank you, stop calling me, which some of us don't like to hear, right? Especially when I'm in the women's mostly business. That's their nice way of not turning you off, right? So how do I, especially with women, understand that communication of, please tell me that you're not interested, and instead of not.
Okay, so there's a couple of things. The first thing you have to know is that the 12 different touch points are not always, can we meet, can we do business, can we meet, can we do business, when are you going to do it? No. I always find, now you weren't here in the beginning, but I always take notes with what people tell me. So if you had said to me, my daughter's getting married, or I love to travel to Italy, whatever it is, I have those notes. So in between me asking you, are you ready to do business, I'm going to find an article that is going to be of interest to you. You told me you like to go to Italy. I found an article about going to Italy and cooking across the country. And I'm going to send this to you, and I'm going to say, I saw this, thought of you, have an awesome day. That's it. Nothing else, because it's a touch point, and you're not asking for business. And you do a couple of those, okay? The other thing you can do is you can say, well, and I've done this, you have to be very careful when you do this. You can say to this person, or you can put it in an email if they won't pick up the phone. You can say, when we first talked, there was a lot of interest and something must have happened. Either you're way too busy or you lost interest. So if it's okay with you, I talked to my team and we're going to close the file. You have to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Almost every time you're going to get a response that says, oh, no, I'm really interested, but can you wait until June? Or they're going to say, you know what, close the file for now, but let's open it, let's revisit it. Or they're just not going to respond, and then you have to put it away.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to take that step, and you have to be really careful.
Yeah.
Because you have to be prepared for them to say, I'm done.
Yeah.
But that's what I would do.
Okay.
I struggled with the expert term. I put it on my business card at this. Someone like you I trusted said I should do it. But I spent a lot of my time in the proposal area and saying that, we're an expert in XYZ. It's called an unsupported claim. Because unless you can follow it with examples, why should people really believe you're an expert?
Because you believe it. I put it in my signature, profitability and leadership expert. It's something that you truly believe. Why? So if you said to me you were the expert in manufacturing, hands down, you're the expert. That's a pretty broad term. But if you said I'm the expert in, a piece of it, you are the expert. Nobody knows more than you. I don't have a problem with that. And I'm not saying that you have to be the expert that the entire world recognizes. You have to recognize it.
Right.
That's what
Amazing.
I'm the expert in. Anybody else? Well, I thank you all, and I will be here if you have any questions.
And so something that I go through all my clients, and I'll sort of speed through this for you all today, is what I call the anatomy of change. And I teach people how to change, why they get stuck, and really what goes on in that process to fully understand, what do you do as a first step.